And hello, my name is Martin, and today what we're going to be doing is we're going to be taking our Paragon character and turning them from a first person to a side scroller into a third person and back into first person. So we'll be able to switch back and forth. Now, the way that I've been able to achieve this is to be able to have a toggle that works back and forth between levels. So what's going to happen is the character or the movement, certain aspects, and I'll show you them later. We're going to have them take a look and see what level we're in, and if we're in a certain list or in a certain array or in a certain name of a level, what it's going to do is going to give us the ability to toggle back and forth between either first person and third person or first person and side scroller. Okay. To do this, we will also need to add another camera, so then that way we have a third camera to be able to go into the side scroller mode. The other thing we're also going to do is we're going to lock part of the movement for the character so that when it's in side scroller mode, it can only move forwards and backwards and jump, whereas when it's in a third person-ish environment, it'll be able to, or in the other level, it'll be able to move in all three dimensions, forward, backward, left, and right. Okay, so let's go ahead and I'll show you the example of this. So we'll push play. I will grab the key I need. Okay, we'll open the door. All right, there's our pad. Oh, and before I leave, I'm going to show you that I can indeed switch into third person. Now I am only able to move forwards and backwards. I can jump and then move the direction in there. Now the cool thing is that I can shoot in all directions, which is pretty neat. Okay. And so what we're going to do now is we're going to come over to the pad, and I'm going to show you what this looks like in the same level. In the same game, in a different level. We appear in first person, and then I can toggle. And now I'm appearing in third person, and the camera has switched for me to be in a third person mode. So I've been able to move from first person mode and have complete movability to third person mode, have complete movability. And if I was to go back to the other level, you would see that we would be able to go back to what we were seeing in the last level. Okay, so there's my box to go to another level. And we are back in that side scroller. I'm going to grab the key. And let's walk through the doors, and you can see that I go back into that. Okay, so we're able to, depending on what level, switch back and forth between two different views. So I'm going to go ahead and hit escape, and let me show you what I had to do with the code. All right, so starting off with what we were doing in this project, working with the side scroller and the first person view, what I've had to do is create this for the mouse. So we have a turn axis, and that goes into a add controller yaw input. And again, this is going to be more of a show. I'm not going to get very specific into what everything's doing because this is an optional. If you want to do it, you can. I'll give you extra credit for it if you do it. Okay, so then we have input access lookup, and that is going to go to the add control pitch input. So basically what this is doing is it's taking care of both the two axes on the mouse. So then that way we have movement in these two directions. One's going to be the yaw, and the other one's going to be the pitch. So we get a up down and a left right. Okay, the next thing that we had to do was to go to the mouse input, so then that way we could tell what the mouse was actually doing. Oh, I'm sorry, movement input, so our WASD, right? So the keyboard. So basically what we're saying here is input move forward. So this would be the W, or anything that is moving us forward. Get the current level of get the current level name. So what this piece of code is, and all I had to do was type in, and here, let me see if I can do it here. Get current level, or just type in current level. So there it is right there. It's already been made for you. So get current level name. You're then going to type in for each loop. And what this does is it looks at an array, and based on that array, it determines, whether something is on the list. So basically, what an array is a list, and I think we've seen this before somewhere else. I feel like, yeah, we had an array here on the interact key and for setting up the inventory system. So some of y'all may be familiar with this. For those that are not, when you see an array, when you see like a bunch of dots like this and the word array next to it, that basically means a list. This is a list of things. Okay, so what I had to do then was I typed in the word make array. So make, and there you can see right there underneath utilities, there's make array, and we attached that, and then we added a pin. It came in with a pin, but we can add pins. So if you have two levels that are going to be first person, third person, and one level that's going to be side scroller in the other, the better way to do that is to figure out what levels are going to be the yes, the yes for this, because we're going to send this over to a branch. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and erase this, remove that pin. So what we did there is we then took the make array and we connected it to the array. So we're going input access move forward, get the current level, connect current level to loop, create an array, make a list of the levels that you want the true condition to be stated for this. From there, we didn't go off of the loop body, we went off of the completed. So after it's gone through this list, it's completed, and it's going to give us, this is going to be the input for the branch. So here what we have is a equal string, and the way that you can do that again is by pulling off and just typing in the word equal. Okay, so you'll see equal string. And what you're going to connect to that is going to be the array element, so what's coming off of the array. If that equals the current name, then yes, we want this branch condition to be true, and you'll see that the Boolean goes to the Boolean condition there, so that's how we're getting the true statement for this. If this equals this, so if something off the list equals the name of the level that we're in, we want the true condition. And for true, what we're doing is we're add movement input. We have force turned on, and as far as world direction, we are actually having that come off of the bottom piece of the code here. So here we're getting get control rotation. We've split off the pins into the three pieces. So what we did again was we right clicked on it and we said break up, and then from there we went from the Z to this one. So we typed in make rotator. And again, we split off the values here, and we connected the yaw to the yaw. So what we're doing is we're getting our kind of like our forward backwards-ish kind of feel. From there, I have a get forward vector, and really this, I guess, could have been the same one. I just have one going into the world direction up here, and then the other one going to this one. So basically what we're saying is, to get the yaw, to get our forward movement, we want to check the level that we're in. If the level that we're in equals one of these things off the list, then we want the true condition of this, which is then going to be using, basically this is what makes it feel like a first person character. And if it's not, then we want this to be different. So then we're actually going to get our input from the mouse, from the WAS, sorry. I need something to drink. I've been talking too much. For all those that are curious, it's a Red Bull, not a beer. Okay, that feels better. Okay, so basically in one, we're saying the world direction is going to be like this, and in the other one, we're actually, instead of our world direction coming from what we're doing with our character controls, the controlled rotation, we're actually getting this from the fact that we're putting y to a +1. Now what this does is it limits the y-axis to a ratio of 1, and it makes it to where the player can't move forward, can't move up or down or into the screen. So not a left or a right, but like an up and a down. And I don't mean like jumping up and down, I mean like moving across a floor. Okay, Now, the other thing that I've also done is for the move right. So if we're going to move right or left, basically we have the same setup here. We're going to use the same code. We're going to leave the same array. We're going to create a branch, and off of that branch, if the name of the level equals the name of of anything that's on this list, we're going to get something that feels more like a first-person player. If we go this way, or the third person player, if we go this way, we're then going to make it feel more like we're in a side scroller. So if the name is not this, it's going to feel like a side scroller. And we're doing the exact same thing. We actually have 4 of the exact same thing here. So add movement input, everything is target is pawn. So you have to look for that as part of the formula. And then for 2 of these, we're saying we're getting the information directly from where they're coming from. So the axis value becomes the scale value, and what direction we go becomes what direction we're facing, or in this case, limited to only left and right, with no ability to be able to move up or down dimensionally in there. Okay, so the last piece of this is going to be what we did here with the switcher. So we had to add actually that same piece of code. So here is the toggle. The toggle is the letter T that we set up to be able to toggle views. We're going to have that same piece of code here. So get current level name, run it through the loop, add an array, add the name of the map that you want the true condition to be off of. So basically what we're saying here is when I hit the toggle key, look at the name of the level. If the name of the level is the first level, then make this a true statement because these would equal. If they are not the same, like when we're in a side scroller, we're going to go down the false way. So if we go through the true way, this is what we saw in the previous chapter, where we set this to first person, and then we went down everything that we needed. Now, because we are going to need to add another camera, I'm not sure if I've actually shown you this in another video, so you'll have to go to viewport, and you'll see that I have added an SS camera, and I have also, for side scroller, and then I've also added a secondary boom, so then that way I can tell that camera how far apart I want it to be from the player. So depending on whether you want a wide view for your side scroller or not a very wide view, that's totally up to you by the length of the boom arm that you're putting on there. But you will have to go to add component, but you could probably type in boom. So add component, probably be under camera. There it is, spring arm. I called it boom. And then the same thing underneath camera, you would have camera again. Okay, so just make sure that you name this one something that you understand what it is. In my case, boom arm 2. I could have also called it SS boom arm, so in that way I knew that it was the side scroller, and then that way I wouldn't be confused by which arm is which. No, I've named them correctly, so then those are going to work. Okay, so I'm going to hit compile. Let me go back to events. And let me finish this up. So basically what we're going to do here is the same thing. So what I did was I copied, oops, let's undo that. Okay, so what I did was I basically copied the top half up here, duplicated it, brought it down to the bottom, added it to the false, and from there what I had to do was actually make a couple of changes. Now, because we're adding another camera, that does also mean you're going to have to go back to your first person stuff and actually make some changes up here. But let's look at the new one first. So first person branch, actually nothing should really change here, except that we are going to also not set you see that the SS camera is there, and the boom arm 2 now needs to be added. They weren't up here before, but if you're going to be in first person, you don't want to see the other camera or see the other boom arm, which is meant for side scroller. So you do want to make sure that that's on the things that are not going to be set, and that's this because this is making the new active state not, right? It's making it false. From there, basically the rest of this is going to stay the same because the only thing that we added was the new camera and the new boom arm. So if we go to the side scroller with this one, you will need to replace the camera from the third person camera to the side scrolling camera, and you'll want to replace the boom arm as well. Here you're going to want to do the same thing. You're going to want to remove the boom arm and the third person camera, and those are going to be different because in the other one it would have been first person. So just make sure that the things that you do not need for the site to be able to be working in the side scroller are indeed cut off and told not to function or to made inactive during this set. You can. Okay. Other than that, the rest of this information would be about the same. And the other people would worry about the gun. The guns and the weapons didn't change because we haven't gone back and forth between. We haven't added a new mesh, right? So we don't have a new character. We didn't have to add new weapons. The only thing we did was add another camera, put that camera laterally so that it's looking at the character from the side, and then from there, that's it. You don't have to do anything with the guns. So basically, those are the things you'll have to do. You'll have to go into the movement, and this is what's going to restrict it to feel side scroller or to feel all three-dimensional. And then this one here is going to be what switches back and forth between what we actually see in the different views. So we have the first part of the code, which is trying to figure out what level we're in, and then the second piece of the code, one half, which is the top half, which is switching between first person and third person, and then the secondary half down here, which is going to be switching back and forth between first person and side scroller. Okay, so I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you have any questions, please let me know. Class will be on Thursday. You guys have a great day. Bye-bye.